Hey, hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, our weekly live stream. Glad you could join us. Hope you all had a great and wonderful Thanksgiving. It's one of the more peaceful holidays, I suppose, if you're not doing the cooking, but a good time to reflect and really appreciate the things that we've all been given and blessed with. Peter Frowine, how you doing? Carrie Ellen Wilder, how you doing? Yes, it's Sunday night if you are in the West, and Monday morning here in Asia. So we'll be taking a look at a few things. The thing I want to talk about today is something in short form known as AMM, or automated market makers. And this really surprised me because I wasn't looking for this. I was looking through some other things. I came across this, and I realized this is something I've never heard of. Maybe you folks have never heard of it as well, but it kind of goes back to that live stream we had a few weeks back where we talked about how algos were pretty much taking over a bunch of things, and it leads right up into it. Um, I'll say straight away, I don't know enough about these AMMs. I'm sure maybe some of you do, a lot of you probably do. But this is something that was new to me, and I'm thinking it may be new to you as well. So we're going to take a look at it, not from a definitely not from an expert point of view, but maybe something we'll take a look at it together and try and understand what is going on. And this could potentially be even more controlling than even a central bank digital currency. So we'll take a look at these things. AMM, automated market makers. We'll take a look at it. Before that, a few things Francis Hunt said, Gerald Talente said, and you know the deal. We'll get going shortly. Let me get a few more sips of coffee, and I'll be right with you. All right. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira. Again, glad y'all could be here. Just want a quick roll call. Who's out there? Vincent is out there. Yes, Vincent is out there. He says hello to everyone. So, Vincent, thank you for being here again. Let's see what else is out here. Mm, Truth Monster, how you doing? Been a while since we've seen you. Carrie Ellen Wilder, again, how you doing? Peter Frowine, James Richter, hello to you. Rod Panhard, how you doing, sir? 49, fine. Chris Primer, hello and aloha to you. Ernest Blackmore, let's see, how you doing? Um, great comments so far. Stacking Surfer, Harold B55, appreciate that. Again, if you guys are new here, please go ahead and type in new and where you're from, and we'll see if we can go ahead and acknowledge you. Thank you for being here, Patrick Bateman, Pablo Pina, Fantanaranja. Let's see, little star crash going on your side of the planet. I gotta check. I haven't checked that yet. Yes, coffee's a good idea. Silver Beast, Miss Petite, how you doing, ma'am? Mr. Nguyen says hello to Vincent and I. And okay, we'll get started. Todd Baker, yes. Uh, Jane Grist, hi from Michigan. How you doing? Hope you're having a good season with your Wolverines or Spartans, whichever one. All right. Stacking silver, you are welcome. It's important. You know, we all have to do what we can in our own way for sure. Carlos, aloha from California. How you doing as well? As always, you can find us on social media. Silverbullion.com.sg is our website here in Singapore. Yes, we do buy and sell silver, gold, platinum, palladium. We also vault silver, gold, platinum, palladium, even nickel for those of you interested in electric vehicles. And more than this, we also specialize in wealth protection, systemic wealth protection. As I always say, I think a lot of you out there, you know what's going on. You got to do the things you need to do to protect yourself. I think, waiting is not an option anymore. Things are moving hard and quick and fast, and we need this time to do what we can, when we can, how we can. So, again, silverbullion.com.sg. That's our website. Shoot us an email, sbtv@silverbullion.com.sg, if you have any questions about the company, comments, concerns, whatever it may be about what's going on. Shoot us an email, and we'll get through it together. Silver Bullion SG is our handle on Facebook. Silver Bullion PL for private limited is where you can find us on Twitter. Silver Bullion SG is where you can find us on Instagram. Jesselyn, Jessica, you guys been doing some great jobs, a really great job with that. I'm very impressed with the photos. I think some of you saw that those kilo bars, those silver kilo bars that were being held. A lot of good comments about that. Great photo there. Great job. SBTV iTunes, SBTV Spotify is where you can find the audio only versions, and Crisis Tracker. This one, guys, really, if you have that Telegram app, or even if you don't, go ahead and download it. It's free, mobile or desktop. Vincent and I, we will go through the news. We're going to get in the weeds, get down and dirty for you, find out what's real, possibly maybe what's not real, but find out the things that are important to us as gold and silver investors, stackers, things that in the way of finance, economics, whatever it may be. If it pertains to something that we were trying to do here, we're going to put it up there. So do join that group, Crisis Tracker, one word, t.me/crisis tracker. So again, I think you'll enjoy that. We do put things that are pertinent, and not too many things that we're gonna keep pulling you away from things that you want to do. Upcoming guest, Dr. Tyler Wall, the CEO of SD Bullion. He's going to be joining us, and he is one of the doctors from SD Bullion, and we're looking to go over the supply shortage. I mean, I see a lot of tweets out there where people are talking about supply shortages. We're going to go over it. Is it true or not? Why the premiums are what they are. I'd like to ask him his opinion on the digital dollar and CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. And so, we'll get down with it with Dr. Tyler Wall from SD Bullion, and we'll see what else we can come up and ask him about. So again, make sure you hit that bell to be notified. Subscribe as always. Subscriptions are well appreciated, and thumbs ups as well, well appreciated. Dr. Tyler Wall, CEO of SD Bullion, he's going to be coming on, and I'm looking forward to that one. As I am also looking forward to giving five of you, potentially five of you, a $10 Amazon gift card. Holiday season is in full swing, so it's maybe something that you'd enjoy. Sure it will be. But to get it, you got to do your part. You have to be one of the first five to answer a question from a past interview correctly in this live stream before the timer runs out. You have about a minute and 30 seconds, and it is going to come from the Francis Hunt Market Sniper interview. US winners will be given a link to download the gift card. Non US winners can ask Amazon to exchange the gift card if it's not usable in your country. Again, Amazon's pretty good about that. And you're going to have to provide us your email so we can go ahead and send it out to you at sbtv at silverbullion.com.sg. Truth Monster, yeah, that's a lot of social media, but hey, we got to make sure you can find us. We need to reach out to you wherever you can. So, yes, but we're there if you need us, right? That's always going to be a given. So we'll go ahead and we'll ask that question from the Francis Hunt interview. It is, according to Francis Hunt, the digitization of everything and the internet is part of our blank. According to Francis Hunt, the digitization of everything and the internet is part of our blank. So go ahead and take a shot. You never know. You might get it. James Richter, yes. Francis Hunt, he's awesome. I tell you what, he's one of my favorites. We first started speaking with him on our other segment called Metal Money because he's one of the he's 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 pretty darn great at TA, technical analysis. Uh, so that's where we first met him, and we decided, you know what, he's got so much life and color and zeal and zest. We need him on our full interview. So he agreed, and there he was. So let's see. Everything, digitization of everything and the internet is part of our, and so here we go. Rod Panhard, enslavement. Peter Prowine, slavery. Truth Monster, entrapment. 4-9, future. Easy squeezy. Ernest Blackmore, future. Let's see what else is out there. Um, let's see. E- Deal, deal, enslavement, doom, enslavement, future, dilution, downfall, culture. Still, I think actually one of you got it right. One of you has it right so far. Okay, and all right. So I guess we have the timer come up. And that's going to be it. The last one we are going to take is Nicholas Nasty, where he says mindset, but unfortunately, unfortunately, the answer was entrapment. Entrapment, and we did have Truth Monster who got it right. Entrapment, according to Francis Hunt. All of this digitization, internet is all part of our entrapment. Let me just look through this real quick, a little bit more, just to make sure we're all good. Um, okay, so that's what we're going to go with. We are going to go with Truth Monster, again, getting it right with entrapment. And just to make sure, we're going to go ahead and revisit Francis Hunt, the market sniper, and see if that is indeed what he said.
The digitization of everything and the internet is part of our entrapment. That which you hold will be that which you own. When the power takedown, the mobile takedown, the internet takedown, if those things were to occur, you won't own anything that you don't touch. And right now, having lost a lot of money, I still own my watches I own, I still own the car, and I still own my gold. I don't own any crypto. I don't own those stable coins I had. I don't own anything. And someone was able to steal from me. He didn't have to come to my house with a gun to do it. Make him come to your house with a gun to steal from you. Make it difficult. And then don't necessarily have it under your bed. Maybe somewhere nearby, but somewhere else. So these, I think, tangibility of wealth and physical retained wealth for this great leveling.
All right, Francis Hunt, some pretty strong words out there. I'm going to take a wild guess. I think a lot of you out there feel the same way. When it all goes down, only what you hold you own, and that goes back to that common phrase: if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And as I always say, I will never argue with anyone who feels that way. Never ever argue with anyone who feels that way. But I will say, then again, there are some of us who may be in a different set of circumstances where you may not want to keep your metals with you, whether it's for some reason you don't trust your government. Maybe you're doing pretty well in life where you understand the concept of diversifying your assets along with diversifying the location of your assets. I think that's even coming increasingly important to do. But again, I will never argue with anyone who says, you need to have it with you. I will never argue with that. Things can be stolen digitally without confronting you. As we said in the interview, or as Francis mentioned, these people stole from him. Francis, he lost quite a bit with the whole FTX things, and so he's coming from this from firsthand knowledge, firsthand point of view. He actually lost within this whole scandal, and he said he made a great point. They didn't even have to come to his house, knock on his door, point a gun at him, whatever it is to steal from him. They didn't have to do anything. It's just there one day and gone the next. The digitization of things. And so, he has a very strong opinion now on this, as far as, having things in your locale or in your possession. And he says, make it difficult to steal your assets. So again, falling back to how I guess unwillingly, I mean, nobody makes it willingly, but how easy it was for things to be stolen from him. So, Francis, very strong opinions on this. We appreciate his honesty, and he does know it from firsthand knowledge. So here's another clip from Francis Hunt.
As I highlighted, crypto is just a smaller version of what is actually a globalized scam in our fiat system of undermining and debasing currency in the exact same way. And in the exact same way, they've had many more decades to be hollowing out what you think is in your pension, what you think is truly behind your bank account. And I saw how it went when I watched the account. You couldn't withdraw, but there were still amounts of money in it. You could actually still trade and do various things. And then a day later, I said to my partner, soon you will not be able to log in, or the amounts they will take away. And then there was another stage, the websites got largely nullified. Now you can log in and all you get is a hanging thing. Now imagine that on Western banks. Imagine the blowback scale, and imagine the power it gives the people bringing the new money system to have everybody impoverished so that they have to sign on the dotted line for whatever terms and conditions are put in front of them, especially if they've captured supply chain, they've hollowed out your wealth. The great leveling.
Right, the great leveling is what he calls it. Crypto is a smaller version of a globalized scam in the fiat system. Interesting choice of words. I'll be interested to know your thoughts on this as well. Do you own your pension? We saw what happened in the UK. They had to turn around with the bond yield situation. They had to turn it around. A lot of these pensions, they are into bonds, and they were losing money because as yields go up, the cost or price of your, let's say, the cost of your bond is price of your bond is going down, I should say. Um, so that was something that we saw happening in the UK, and I'm certain we are going to see it happening in other places as well. Do you own what is in your bank account? There are so many arguments to this. One of them is, even for those of us who feel, if we don't hold it, we don't own it. Well, should we have money in bank accounts? Because we know what happens there. So do you own what is in your bank account? And we know already, you become a creditor once you deposit money in your bank account. Your bank goes ahead and uses it. Fractional reserve lending, I believe for every dollar you save, they're loaning out 10, whatever it may be. Um, they are using it, and you become a creditor. You become a creditor to your bank. So that is something we all need to understand as well. Are we headed towards a wealth transfer, a theft? This is something France experienced firsthand. We may be experiencing it right now. We saw what happened during the pandemic, where the Federal Reserve stepped in. They were basically choosing winners, choosing losers, and we did see a lot of wealth transfer. So again, keep your head on a swivel. There are a lot of things going on, and thing is, have the powers that be set in motion a process to wipe out or transfer wealth. So I'd like to know your thoughts on this. Let's see. Ernest Blackmore, yes. Francis Hunt, he provides great insight and education, but his IDs, sorry, very clever and entertaining, quick-witted, fast-talking. Listen closely and enjoy. That is true. Um, when I'm interviewing Francis, or when I'm having a chat with him, he speaks. I find him. He speaks very eloquently. His metaphor is extremely colorful, and sometimes, when you finally grasp what he said, he's five sentences down the road, and you got to catch up with him. But that's the beauty of Francis. Great mind for sure. He is. All right, so let's keep on moving. One more from Ernest Blackmore. Appreciate this. Thumbs ups again. They always do help us. And SD Bullion, I think they're doing some great things out there as well. So again, looking forward to that chat with Dr. Tyler Wall. All right, moving on. One more clip from Francis Hunt.
All your banks are FTX, just a bigger version that are being held up and have a bigger support Ponzi team behind them for now. But they all know that it's gone too far. They all know they want to take it down, and they all know they want to set the clock again. That's why there's big organizations for reset. So when you begin with the end in mind, it's easier to see what has to happen. And they've already seeded quite clearly where they intend to take you with the CBDCs and the surveillance finance and the loss of freedom that you will have. We should all be in cash. We should have lots of cash notes, not because it's a good investment, but because we should pay in cash and transact in cash and keep a lot of it. Because if the banks go dark, at least it will still be legal tender and you'll be able to transact. And we all should have physical precious metals.
All right, Francis Hunt. All your banks are FTX. I tell you what, when you said that, it took me back, and I really, had to think about that one. And personally, my opinion, I can't argue with that. You know what? I really can't. So, Francis Hunt, I mean, great job in coming out and saying that. CBDC, surveillance finance, loss of freedoms. I think a lot of us, we understand what CBDCs do. On one hand, you have people who will say CBDCs, they will provide for quicker transactions. They will provide where they cut out the middleman banks, making things even cheaper to use money, I suppose, or to transfer for money. That's the plus side. The downside, I think most of us here already know, there is a good belief a strong belief that we will lose certain amounts of freedoms, especially when CBDCs, if they should eventually turn to cashless and coinless. So there are definitely two sides of this coin to consider. But again, learn as much as you can, dig into CBDCs, hear both sides of the argument. We always have to try and do that, even though we may not want to. You got to try and hear both sides. Have cash on hand is what Francis Hunt says. That is a great point. I would go one step further and say have gold and silver on hand. Now I know cash, for a lot of us may be a bit more liquid than gold and silver, but it's not to say gold and silver are not liquid because they are. You could easily sell that back for fiat. You could easily sell it or pawn it in a pawn shop to get cash if you needed to. If you're storing with us in silver bullion, you could easily sell it back to us and we will transfer cash back to your account. So silver and gold is very much just as liquid in a lot of ways. And yes, have precious metals for sure because thing is when you're hanging on to that cash, and I've said this before a long time ago, I think I need to say it again. Cash has an expiration date. Never forget that. Cash does have an expiration date, and this is something we're all going to find out when it's too late. So keep that in mind. Real hard liquid assets are things you want. Cash is good. Gold and silver possibly maybe a bit better. So let me take a look at some of these comments here. Yeah, the FTX scandal. I tell you what, it's incredible. I think it's just going to kind of start to get swept under the rug. You're going to start to see people distancing themselves in order to make themselves look clean. But again, just pay attention to it. Mr. Nguyen, junk silver will always be money for barter. I completely agree with you there. I mean, I've said this also where I think in whatever country you live in, you probably possibly had real silver before or real gold in your coinage. This is the term junk silver, where you had a good amount of silver in your coins, whether it was 90%, 916%, whether it was maybe 70%. You may have had it. And so when these things really start to unravel and unfold, I do strongly believe the first thing people will recognize as money as they are looking to find money could be those older coins, those junk silver. Then eventually the typical 1 ounce silver coin or the 5, 10, 100 ounce bar, whatever it might be. But I think, and I say that because if people were already woken up to silver and gold, they would have been buying it. The thing is, they don't understand what money is, sound money, true money. So they haven't moved into it yet. But when that time does come, they're going to recognize those things of old as money. Okay, so let me move on here. Gerald Salente's weekly trends journal. He will take a look at his weekly message: inflation blues and rates up, home sales down. So Gerald says, on trend with what our trends journal cover illustrates, multi-billionaire Jeff Bezos announced today, or this is last week now, that he was given 123 million to combat homelessness. However, his money won't go to combat homelessness. It will just go to more of the same that will not reverse the negative trend, while ignoring our homeless solution, which was one of our top trends for 2022. Yet, despite our sending out thousands of emails to the media, mayors, and institutions that detail our unique homeless solution, we have not received one reply. On another downer note, today is the day that lives in infamy. It was the day America died. Not a peep from the mainstream media, not one story in the New York Times, no mention in the Wall Street Journal, Drudge, Yahoo, etc., of the day 59 years ago that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And as life would have it, John Connally, the governor of Texas who sat in front of JFK and took the bullet in his back, wanted to meet with me in Dallas back in 1992. I have a photo of Connolly, his wife Nellie, and me with the book depository behind us. It was their first time back since the assassination. And to make a very long story short, as we were walking back to the Anatole Hotel, he stopped me and said, I read your book, Trend Tracking, a fine piece of work, and I know your heart is in the right place. but you don't have a clue of what's going on, and neither do the American people. Because if they did, there would be a revolution in this country. Now, that was 30 years ago, and now I have a clue of what's going on. And that's why I give all I can, the best I can, to deliver a magazine that will help you not only prevail and prosper, but also to reverse the negative trends and restore life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All right, Gerald. Inflation blues. Kohl's, Macy's, and Target all reported business sagging in this year's third quarter. Macy's posted lower sales and profits after the chain had to offer bigger discounts to move merchandise as inflation continued to worry shoppers. The New York Times reported. Now, Target reported third quarter profits fell 52% year on year after the discount chain cut prices. The company also forwarded one or forewarned, of the possibility of continued weakness in this quarter. At Kohl's, we saw our middle income customers continue to purchase fewer items per trip and trade down. The store and discount brands board chair Peter Bonaparte told analysts on the 17 November call. Now, Coles also withdrew its financial projections, pointing to significant macroeconomic headwinds and its CEO suddenly leaving to become president of Levi's. At Coles, CEO Michelle Glass has been credited with innovations that have buoyed the company through a difficult period. With spending slowing among key retailers, stores may need to make even deeper discounts to clear clogged inventories. In contrast, Walmart, the US largest retailer and biggest grocery chain, reported earnings higher than expected and raised its earnings projection. All right, rates up, home sales down. In October, the number of existing US homes sold declined for the ninth consecutive month, dropping by 5.9% from September and down 28.4% from a year earlier, according to the NAR. Now, sales volumes are 32% below January's levels. It's slowing down quite a bit, the lowest since December 2011. The lowest since December 2011. We all know what happened back then. The U.S. Federal Reserve's steady rise in interest rates is causing a large part of this, they say. And the U.S. average rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage in January was 3.11% and is more than double now as we report in mortgage rates fall the most in 41 years. And the consistently low number for home sales, especially at lower and mid range prices, have kept sales volume smaller. Um, I'll just kind of wrap it up with just saying even home sales have been slowing down and it's starting to mushroom all across the US. First time buyers, especially those with modest and middle incomes, are struggling with rising rents. I think a lot of you folks are seeing that out there who are renting, and it makes it even more difficult to save enough cash to make the sizable down payment that lenders now require. So, more potential home buyers were squeezed out from qualifying for a mortgage in October as mortgage rates climbed higher, according to NAR chief economist Lawrence Yun. So we are seeing, difficulties in the home market, and part of it is because we are seeing the rates going up. So we'll take a look at this really quick, so I can get back to you folks. I know a lot of you guys are talking about Kennedy out there. I feel the same, where he probably was the last U.S. president. Okay, so weekly inflation yields update again. You see this green line gradually going up and to the right. That tells you the economy is good. When you see it start to flatten, the economy is, really, people are starting to have less optimism about it. And when you see it inverted, that indicates a recession or even a bear market. So we'll get this thing going. This is starting from January of this year, and it'll come up all the way to November. So you can see Jan, Feb, rates are rising or yields are rising, but it still in general had that incline up and to the right. And as we go into March, April, May, especially in June, July, we do see it starting to flatten. Flatten meaning if you take a look at the middle, you're going to see it start to flatten. And then as we move on, as you take a look, you see the left hand side starting to creep up. it starts to creep up. You see the middle start to rise above the right hand side. The right hand side be more of the long term yields, 30, 20, and 10. And here we are, October and going into November. All right. So interesting thing at November last week when we looked at it, the 1 month was about the same as the 30-year. If we take a look at it today, the 1 month given a yield of 4.12% is giving you a better yield than a 30-year at 3.74. It's giving you a better yield than a 20-year at 3.97. Better yield than even a 10-year at 3.71, better yield than a 7-year, a 5-year. I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, this whole I can let's just take a look at it, and you'll get it once you take a look at it. Let the picture speak on it. So that's where we are, guys. All right. So moving on, I want to take a look at our website, silverbullion.com. Before that, I'll give some time to you and take a look at these comments there. A lot of opinions, strong opinions on this whole FTX fiasco that is going on. A lot of feelings with JFK as well. Um, all right, just keep it going, guys. Keep it going. Opinions, they I tell you what, I mean, we may not always agree with opinions, but it's good to know what we're thinking out there. So silverbullion.com.sg is our website. Let's take a look at it, see what's going on here. Let me refresh here. All right, USD gold and silver price this morning in Asia. Silver 21.24. It's gone down a bit. Gold 17.51, relatively unchanged at just a rise of 83 cents. Platinum a little bit down as well. So metals basically unchanged so far this morning here in Asia. I want to take a look at a few things here that are uh, on promotion right now. Right now, these 1,000 ounce LBMA silver bars, just 60 cents per ounce over spot. So that's pretty good. LBMA bars, they do they they're probably the closest to premium that you could get anywhere is when you buy these LBMA bars. Gold maple leaf $60 per ounce over spots. 1 kg silver bars $3 per ounce over spot. So if you are in Singapore, hey, come down to our shop. Go ahead and get some. If you are storing with us, go ahead and put these in your storage account. So let me take a look back here again. Um, See what else is out there. Silver to gold ratio 82.5, still hovering in the low 80s. Again, if you're looking to buy silver or gold right now, anytime you're at about 80 or above, it's a fairly good indicator that it may be the time you'd like to get silver over gold. And once we go back down below 80, 60, 50, and such, you may be looking to get gold over silver. So what this does is for our pretty savvy guys, they're good in this. They will flip back and forth between the two, between silver and gold, depending on the ratio. So it takes 82 ounces of silver right now to buy 1 ounce of gold, or you could sell your 1 ounce of gold for roughly 82 ounces of silver. Of course, this is not counting premiums, and this is not financial advice. We are giving no financial advice to anyone, professional or otherwise. And some featured products here. So I want to get back to this 1,000 ounce LBMA bar. 400 shop, you can come down and pick it up. 283, you can go ahead and store, and these are yours. You do own these bars, they belong entirely to you. And that's it. No other thing to know about it. They entirely belong to you. If you want to store it with us, go ahead and sign up for an account. 6 types: personal, joint, trust, joint account with a minor, business account, and a retirement account. And I'm going to say this again: if you guys do have 401k, some type of self-directed IRA, please do consider a precious metals type IRA. As inflation starts chipping away at your purchasing power, if some event should happen, you and I aren't getting any younger, so we may not have time to recover. This may be a good thing to get into is the precious metals IRA. So nonetheless, personal account, easiest one. We just need basic information, your name and some type of ID. Go ahead, fill out application, and that's pretty much it. We'll go through it and make sure you do say that, hey, you got it, or you learned about silver bullion through SBTV, and that'll help us out quite a bit. All right, moving on. I know I'm kind of yapping here quite a bit. Moving on to Twitter. Let me see what's going on out there. Gerald Solente, sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. Uh, Friedrich Nietzsche. That is true. Seems like a lot of people, they truth takes a back seat nowadays to feelings, unfortunately. Now, this gets pretty interesting. There are, it seems to be quite a lot happening in China with the lockdowns and protests and these types of things. Back when I woke up this morning and I went through my Twitter feed, it's really all I saw. Just as I scrolled down, it was just what was going on there. And the thing that crossed my mind was, these are the types of things, when technology first sets out, we're agreeable to it. We think it's something great, and then eventually technology, sadly, it's something that can be used against us, and I'll get into that in a bit. James Anderson, gold bullion flows via Swiss refineries. Basically, he's talking about the West sells unsecured gold ETFs, the paper gold, and then the East, they take the physical gold. So ETFs, I tell you what, they seem to be really, really working against the physical guys. It's I'll leave it at I'll leave it at that. Let's see what else is out here. Steve Hankey, U.S. economy runs on diesel, thanks in part to sanctions on country R. November diesel inventory levels in the U.S. are the lowest they have been since 1951, and the price of diesel has skyrocketed. Keep your eye on diesel, no economy. So Steve Hankey making a great point there. Uh, so again, Eric Young, talking about the protesters. It looks like people are kind of having enough of what's going on. Rob Keynes or Robbie Starbuck is the same. We're seeing these things happening. Let's see, David Morgan. Everything changes once you wake up. That is true. That is true. Rob Keynes, when she asked, "What's my retirement plan?" he answers saying it's gold. But with that thing going on in China, I'm understanding. There, I see a lot of tweets about this where people were saying that their passport, their QR passport thing changed from green to red. So just with the somehow pushable button, it changes to red, and then now people aren't able to move. So that's something we got to keep an eye on, especially with technology. Anyway, that was a look at Twitter. Topic of the day: automated market makers. Again, this is something I'm no expert in, so hopefully we can help each other out with it. But let me take a look at these comments here. Um, let's see. Yes, there's protests also in the Middle East. Um, let's see. Okay, 495 could be a psyop. Could be staged for media. The history is filled with revolution. Okay, great points there. Let's see what else is out there. Um, let's see. Ernest Blackmore again, wild. Just as Patrick was quoting the Texas governor and JFK, you don't have a clue. My feed dropped. Okay. Well, hopefully we are we still going on. Yeah, we're still going on. Um, Gee, Ernest, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because it seems like we're already being kind of squashed a lot, quite a bit from YouTube. So hey, I don't know if that we love YouTube. We love everything about YouTube. We love YouTube. Okay, so we got those in for the algos. All right. Anyway, automated market makers. This one, yeah, I tell you what. A few weeks back, I brought up the topic about algos and how they were taking over everything, and it was a little bit hard to maybe for some hard to kind of digest that part. But if you think about it this way, we know that they algos control our news feeds, what we see, what we search, the music we hear creates a playlist for us, and I know a bunch of you out there will even say they listen to us. We say something, and next thing you know, on Facebook, an ad for what we just talked about kind of pops up. They pick up on words we hear. And maybe some of you believed it, maybe some of you didn't, but I'm going to play that clip again to say, this isn't my opinion. This is what they actually said.
80% of volume, daily volume in the US, the machines.
Let me just recap. 80%
close
of
to
the
80%.
daily volume
Yes.
is machines.
Absolutely.
The machines themselves pick up on obviously very sophisticated algorithms as well, and pick out certain words as well. So if, for instance, an oil minister would say, oh, we're going to cut production, but says it 10 times, the machine might well move 10 times on the back of we're going to cut production as well. So do you think there's just too much noise out there, not coming just from the machines, but coming from senior market participants who are using those algorithms, who are using those machines to manipulate price movements?
Yes, I mean, simply put, in principle, you're right. But I think it's slightly, obviously, a bit more complicated than that. But I mean, obviously, what these machines are picking up is the change in wording.
All right. So again, not my words. These are people who know. Now, I didn't expect to revisit this clip anytime soon, where algos and machines pick up on everything and look to control everything. In fact, what I had intended to do this week was to go ahead and take a look at the digital dollar and the trials that it's undergoing, and who is actually doing the trials. And it's really what I started off doing. So I started off, I came to this website here where big banks, New York Fed, start to test digital tokens for wholesale transactions, and the usual suspects, Citigroup, HSBC, MasterCard, Wells Fargo. I think we kind of know the history of some of these guys, but the article went on to say a group of major banks and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York have started to test the use of digital tokens representing digital dollars to improve how central bank money is settled between institutions. So these were the list of the banks who are taking part in this trial. Now, the 12-week proof of concept pilot program will explore the use of a platform known as the Regulated Liability Network, or RLN, whereby banks issue tokens that represent customers' deposits that are settled on a central bank reserve on a shared distributed ledger. All right, the project will be conducted in a test environment using only simulated data. While many central banks are developing or considering developing retail central bank digital currencies, which are forms of digital money used or for use by the public, many are also testing wholesale CBDCs, which are fiat money in token form for exchange among financial institutions to improve existing clearing and settlement processes. All right, so we know these banks are given a trial stage for the digital dollar. But then right below it, I came across this. Read more. Singapore's MAS starts wholesale CBDC project Ubin and for cross-border payments. So then I clicked on that and I ended up at this website here, still from CoinDesk. Same title here. Singapore is going to start its wholesale CBDC project, and the project comes a day after the central bank announced new projects aimed at trade, finance, and wealth management. And this is recent, November 3rd, 2022. All right, so I went on to read this, and basically, it'll be looking at testing the use of CBDCs for foreign exchange and liquidity management, as well as the connectivity between CBDC and other digital asset networks. Under the project, the bank will also explore how systems based on DLT, distributed ledger technology, could interact with non ledger payment systems. Now, while central banks around the world are looking into digital iterations of a local sovereign currency for use by citizens in daily transactions, progress on wholesale CBDCs that can be built on technologies similar to DLT that can underlie crypto and be used exclusively between financial institutions to conduct speedy settlements has been moving faster, propelled by support from the BIS, which includes the world's central bank. So this kind of, got me a bit curious here, the whole BIS thing again, and I came across this Project Mariana. I've never heard of this before. Project Mariana. The measure aimed at foreign exchange and liquidity management, involves MAS and the central banks of Switzerland and France, along with, again, BIS, Innovation Hub Centers. The project will explore foreign exchange transactions with the Swiss franc, euro, and the Singapore dollar. And the announcement comes a day after MAS, the Central Bank of Singapore, Monetary Authority of Singapore, started two new projects for trade, finance, and wealth management products. So, as part of this, MAS says it will also participate in SWIFT's CBDC sandbox along with 17 other central banks. And okay, so went so on and so on and so on. Now, all of these things kind of interested me. So what I did was I had to go and take a look. I mean, just to confirm, what is Project Mariana and BIS? I mean, what are they kind of working on together? So I went ahead and I took a look at that. So moving on to that BIS website, BIS Innovation Hub, we just saw that word in the article prior, work on central bank digital currency, CBDC. Interest in CBDCs has grown in response to change in payments, finance, and technology, as well as the disruption caused by the bug. 2021 BIS survey of central banks found that 86% are actively researching the potential for CBDCs, and 60% were experimenting with the technology, and 14% were already deploying pilot projects. In simple terms, a central bank digital currency would be a digital banknote. It could be used by individuals to pay businesses, shops, or each other, a retail CBDC, or between financial institutions to settle trades in financial markets, a wholesale CBDC. So, two different types here. Central banks are exploring whether CBDCs could help them to achieve their public good objectives. All right. Thank you for looking out for us. Public good. Thank you for looking out for us, such as safeguarding public trust in money. Can you believe these guys? Safeguarding public trust, really? Safeguarding public trust in money, maintaining price stability, same old song and dance, and ensuring safe and resilient payment systems and infrastructure. Wow, we should all be thankful that they're looking out for us, right? Sorry. If successful, CBDCs could ensure that as economies go digital, the general public would retain access. Sorry, I I got to get back here. Would retain access to the safest form of money. Can we read this? If successful, CBDCs could ensure that as economies go digital, the general public would retain access to the safest form of money, and that is a claim on a central bank. I tell you, we're just so fortunate these guys are looking out for us. This could promote diversity in payment options, make cross border payments faster and cheaper, increase financial inclusion, and possibly facilitate fiscal transfer in times of economic crisis, such as a bug. Anyway, let me go down here a bit. So, related projects, yes, November 2nd, this Project Mariana, CBDCs in automated market makers. So, I came across that word, automated market makers, and okay, so I'm stumped a bit. So, Project Mariana explores automated market makers for the cross-border exchange of hypothetical Swiss franc, euro, Singapore dollar, wholesale CBDCs, and such. It will seek to examine the potential between financial institutions to settle foreign exchange trades and financial markets. So, okay, so at this point, I'm kind of wondering, okay, I'm not so interested in Project Mariana and all of these things. I'm more interested in what is an AMM? What the heck is an AMM? And that's when it kind of dawned on me. AMM again, meaning automated market makers, and that's when it kind of hit me. This is what we were talking about a few weeks ago, where algos were really taking over things, and as the clip we just watched, it's even taking over the markets. Some of it by words that people are saying that can maybe trigger algos to move things, make a market here and there a bit. So we kind of talked about this a few weeks ago, and basically these things they're creating some type of a new market. Some guys even say powers that be are creating type of a whole new world thing, with what they're doing. I know that kind of sounds out there, but this is far fetched from where we are today, and I'll explain why. But again, this may be a new word for some of us, automated market makers, AMM. So what is it? What is an AMM? I mean, let's find out. I need to find out, and I'm going to need your help with this because I'm no expert in this. So then I came to this article here. What are automated market makers? So let's see. I'll just kind of sneak in here. Okay. Automated market makers, or AMMs, are part of a decentralized finance, or DeFi ecosystem. They allow digital assets to be traded in a permissionless and automatic way by using liquidity pools rather than a traditional market of buyers and sellers. So this is what I meant when I said it's a new thing. I don't know, a new world thing, whatever you want to call it, but it's a market no more using the traditional market of buyers and sellers. Now, AMM, automated market makers, their users supply liquidity pools with crypto tokens whose prices are determined by a constant mathematical formula. Liquidity pools can be optimized for different purposes and are proven to be an important instrument in the DeFi ecosystem. But this is the part that then again got me. It can be optimized for different purposes. Okay, these automated market makers can be optimized, or even the liquidity pools can be optimized for different purposes. So, okay, we dig in a bit further.
You might be wondering, what is an automated market maker? Well, an automated market maker allows traders to buy and sell certain coins using an algorithm that dictates how expensive something should be based on how much of it there is. As someone buys one asset, it gets more and more expensive because there's less of it. And as they give it another asset, it gets cheaper and cheaper because there's more of it. Basically, it's supply and demand, but it's using an algorithm instead of the traditional method, which uses a person.
All right, so notice how the brother who made this video kind of laughs when he says a person. All right, hey people, where are we still important here? But okay, anyway, so make no mistake, algos and mathematical formulas, they're going to set the prices. Okay, I've seen that in one source already. I've seen this in another source, and it seems to be really the truth behind this. They are going to set the prices. Algos, mathematical formulas. No humans, no traders, and we went over this a couple weeks back, right? So I personally, again, do not understand enough about AMMs. So I really want to get on this together, and I'm going to be looking for your comments here because I do think this is something pretty important that we got to understand. All right, so a little bit more about AMMs.
Let's say that you're a potato farmer. You're sick and tired of going to work and seeing potatoes everywhere, then coming home to eat only more potatoes, even though you can cook some potatoes in very interesting ways. You do not want any more potatoes. But here's the real kicker though. You live in a village of potato farmers, so you can't really trade your potatoes for anything else. It would be nice to trade my potatoes for something else like apples, you think. Well, along comes a trader who has access to a boat and he says, I found a village over east who grows apples and they are sick of them. I am here to see if you would like to invest in a trade. Well, now that your wish has come true and you don't want the chance to disappear, you tell the trader yes. He says, the apple farmers have put up 50,000 apples to add to my apple potato exchange business. If you can give me 50,000 potatoes, we can get started. So your village has a meeting and they decide to join the trader in exchanging apples and potatoes. The trader goes, here's the thing though, I have a magical genie with me that will store all 50,000 apples and all 50,000 potatoes in.
Okay, I'm just stopping this for 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 YouTube purposes, but I mean, so for now anyway, we are seeing where two people are trying to balance their items, and then it's going to go into this genie lamp. So we're giving basically this genie lamp is going to hold all the food. Anyway, let me continue. Oh, sorry. Let me go back
Let's say that you're a potato farmer.
and let
Add to my
me.
Apple Potato Exchange
Okay.
business. If you can give me 50,000 potatoes, we can get started. So your village has a meeting and they decide to join the trader in exchanging apples and potatoes. The trader goes, "Here's the thing though. I have a magical genie with me that will store all 50,000 apples and all 50,000 potatoes in his magical lamp to keep safe. That way they don't go bad. But he wants to keep a perfect ratio of the value of both of these." The trader goes on, "Since together we put in 50,000 apples and 50,000 potatoes, he wants both of these numbers to always multiply to equal 2.5 billion, which is equal to 50,000 times 50,000. This way, if one year there are less apples, the apples will cost more to buy."
Okay. Okay. So we kind of see how this thing is working a bit. Now, I'm going to say I'll just be straight. I don't really care about the technology part in any of this. I don't really care about the technology part because what I do know, as do you, as we are even seeing currently today, right now, at this point in history, technology always starts off good, but the powers that be, without exception, they're going to find a way for that technology to be built up and to work and a lot of times be used against us at some point. And in this example, we're looking at food. So this kind of absolutely troubles me here a bit. Uh, my concern again is this example of food. Now, as people marvel at the technology, and rightly so, this technology is something to marvel and wonder at. But putting, let's just say, scaling this up with this example, putting, let's say, the whole world's food supply into the hands of just a few, is that something we want to do? We kind of saw what happened with the pandemic when basically one country is the world's manufacturer, and we all kind of ran into trouble with that. I mean, we already know what happens also with the media, controlled by just a few. And then that kind of took me to this guy who was in the news for buying up a lot of agricultural land. And a lot of people were kind of wondering the controversy over Mr. G. Mr. G, as we'll call him, becoming the largest private farmland owner in the US. And again, I'm relating this to the example of food. So let me go down a bit here. Because there was something. I mean, we kind of know the story behind it, but this part got interesting where they reported that Mr. G had acquired more than 269,000 acres of farm in the US in the past 10 years. Now, this is the thing that got me. The past 10 years. The past 10 years. Why? Because there was something else that Mr. G kind of did in the past 10 years. And Bitcoin was pretty much still in diapers when actually Mr. G started doing this. 10 years ago plus, I should say, Bitcoin was in diapers, and Mr. G he hired Ignacio Moss to create a bridge between crypto and dollars, a loose term known as smart banknotes. Now, the question I think a lot of people had was, how did he know? With Bitcoin still in diapers, how did he know to start building this type of a bridge? And 10 years ago, how did he know to start getting all of this ag land? So, this guy, he's a prophet. I guess we will optimistically call him some type of a prophet, I guess. I don't know. But the thing is, from an article back then, they spoke to a gentleman called Franklin Knoll, who we also had on our program a while back, and he helps advise in some ways the Fed with currencies. I think he's even on some type of a board advisory type of a deal with these central bank digital currencies, I should say. Anyway, nonetheless, what was said was the concept of a smart banknote is not all that revolutionary. The idea of a hybrid banknote has actually been around almost as long as Bitcoin. By 2010, thinking about putting electronic features on a banknote was already underway, along with the idea of using such a note to act as a transition between traditional banknotes and cryptocurrencies. So, a transition. Franklin Knoll says such a perspective was developed in work performed for the BMG Foundation, by Ignacio Moss and consult Hyperion. Anyway, these they were created or credited with creating the term smart banknote. So this was something Mr. G was already looking into 10 plus years ago when Bitcoin was in diapers, and Mr. G 10 plus years ago went after ag land, and we're kind of seeing these things, starting to unfold. So without question, we all know something's up with our money, and we kind of see how something's up with the future of the food supply. And coincidentally, Mr. G, he's involved in both, and he's also coincidentally involved with poking and pushing something upon us. Now, I'm not trying to bash Mr. G here, but I'm just saying, as a lot of people, other people have said, including George Carlin, it's a big club, and you and I, we ain't in it. We're not in it, which is why we have to keep our head on a swivel and understand what is going on. Okay, understand what is going on. Sarah, Sarah. Whatever will be. Thank you for the 50. I appreciate that. Thank you for a great program. Your choice as to whether you want to buy apples or potatoes. We appreciate that, K. Sarasura. Thank you very, very kindly. So, more on this automated market making, because again, I'm no expert on this, the technology. I'm no expert on the technology, but I think we are all becoming quick experts on what happens when powerful things get put into the hands of just a few.
All right, so right now there are 50,000 apples and 50,000 potatoes, and the number of both of those must equal 2.5 billion when multiplied. So let's say a potato farmer comes along with 7,000 potatoes to trade because they really want some apples. So he gives them to the genie, and he waits while the genie figures out how many apples to give him. So now we have 57,000 potatoes in the genie's lamp, but we need to know how many apples to give the potato farmer. So let's start with some math. So we take 2.5 billion and we divide it by 57,000. You might be wondering why? Well, hopefully you'll see in a second. The answer we get to this math question is 43,859. So this is the number of apples that should be left over in the magical genie's lamp. However, right now there's 50,000. So we just need to find out the difference and give the difference to the potato farmer. Well, the difference is 6,140. So we give the potato farmer 6,140 apples. Now you might be wondering, how come we gave 7,000 potatoes, but we got around 6,000 apples? Well, as more and more apples were bought up, they became more expensive. This is why the farmer didn't get exactly 7,000 apples back. So now there are 57,000 potatoes and 43,859 apples in the genie's lamp. Let's make sure that we didn't upset the genie. 57,000 times 43,859 does equal 2.5 billion. So the magical genie is still happy.
All right, math. Not one of our, maybe, well, I'll speak for myself. Math, not one of my favorite subjects there, but I guess to be fair, we see how this algo, this AMM does try to balance things off. Okay, so to be fair, we see this. But what blows my mind is this genie in this example. I mean, what or who is the genie in the real world? Because that genie in this example, he's holding the food and comes up with this mathematical formula for supply, demand, and prices. So this genie is he's getting to be a very, very important genie. Vincent also saying thank you to K. Sarah. Thank you again very much. We really appreciate that. Thank you. Carlos, you're welcome. You're welcome. This automated market thing, again, I'm no expert in this by far, but I feel it was something that we need to know, because it does look like it can go hand in hand with CBDCs and maybe even be a bit more powerful than CBDCs. So, okay, moving on. In this example, the genie will set the price, the algo will set the price, and through a supply and demand. But the thing is, whether that supply and demand is real, how are we going to know whether this supply and demand is real? Is it fake? We don't know. We just don't know anymore once it goes into that black box of the genie. They're basically going to let us know more demand for this. Prices go up or whatever it is. They're basically going to throttle us the same way the Federal Reserve is throttling interest rates, throttling employment. So again, I mean, well, not for me. We need to know who the genie is. So let's go a little bit deeper.
Let's run over a quick example of finding out how much each asset costs in dollars. So assume that there was $50,000 worth of apples in the beginning. Since the magical genie said he priced them at $1 and there was 50,000 of them, so we just need to keep $50,000 as a constant when we're calculating their value. This is how much each asset should equal. So potatoes would be $50,000 over 57,000 because that's how many potatoes we have, which brings their price to 87.7 pennies for each potato. You might be wondering, why did they drop from $1? Well, it's because someone brought a lot more of them to the genie. It's basic supply and demand. For example, if you could grow gold on trees in your backyard, gold would suddenly be a lot cheaper because there's a lot more of it. The more there is in the genie's lamp, the less they will cost. So from now on, instead of saying genie's lamp, I'm going to call it what it really is, a liquidity pool. So now
Okay, so now we know the genie is a liquidity pool, but who will the liquidity pool be? And I want to take a short break here and look at your thoughts, your comments. So, who do you think that liquidity pool is going to be? Interested to see. The other thing, hey, if gold grew on trees, I'd be out of a job. So maybe it's a good it's a good thing gold is not growing on trees right now. But who do you think that liquidity pool is going to be? Um, so now, again, this kind of really broadens up, opens up into quite a number of things. But anyway, let me take a look at a few comments and see, what you folks are thinking out there. Um, let's see. Again, who do you think that liquidity pool is going to be? Carrie Ellen Wilder, it's a scam. I'd rather use my cash. I agree. I agree. That's something even Francis Hunt said. Use your cash. Keep and use your cash, if at all possible. Let's see. Genie, do not barter. They just they just goes out. But that's the thing. That's the thing with the technology. We saw what happened with FTX. Um, it'll go zap. Or there's a possibility it could go zap. But so who's the liquidity pool? So I'm curious as to who your thoughts may be. Anyway, here's mine. I think it's going to be central banks. I think that liquidity pool is going to be central banks with their digital currencies. I mean, absolutely. I think it's going to be them. And they have an unlimited amount of money to keep that pool filled. But keep in mind, as some of you folks mentioned, they can also drain that liquidity pool and move the markets, automated market makers, algos, all of these things. And this means our choices, the amount of what we can buy, what we can buy, or when we can buy it, is going to fall to their power, their control, their definition of supply and demand, which we may not be able to verify once it goes into that genie. So how would they do that? Easiest way would be to force a central bank digital currency on everyone. Will it be big business part of that liquidity pool? I think so. I mean, as we said, uh, small businesses. What we saw during that pandemic, a lot of them were gone. We saw the Fed choose winners and losers. So, is there a place for small business anymore to fit in any of this? I'm not so sure. Sadly, I'm not so sure. We all know big business is in bed with politicians, even more powerful a lot of times than politicians. And politicians know to get the funding, to get donors, they have to play ball with big business, and big business will use political puppets to regulate competition and drive them out of business. This isn't anything new. We've had guests say this over and over as well. Will it be landowners that are part of the liquidity pool? Well, you got to own the land if you're going to grow anything, right? So, of course, resource owners, energy companies, absolutely. Again, where do small companies fit in any of this? Don't know. I just don't see it. So again, we have people like Mr. G. Hey, he's getting all the agricultural land. All right. Then we have companies like BlackRock, JP Morgan buying up real estate, and not just commercial real estate, but residential. they're buying up even residential. So, I think this whole automated market maker thing, it could be even more powerful than the CBDC. The CBDC is just a means to transfer something to get these very real commodities again. it always comes down to commodities because they are the things that are real. It always comes back to commodities. Overall, I'm sharing this with you because the road we are on, I think we kind of got to hit the brakes, stop a little bit, take a look, maybe even get off this road because if we don't get off, uh, then we have to understand, if we just can't, then we have to get resources because resources. I mean, just look at what's going on with the war, with country R, country U, um, the talk, the the heightened talk between countries like U.S., countries like China, and it's all about resources, right? I mean, we saw that whole. I think it was Uganda. They're they're going to use gold instead of dollars for oil. It's all about resources. Resources are commodities. Commodities are things that are real. The thing is, if we believe central banks to be the liquidity pool, and I do, there's going to need to balance. Need to be a balance in that liquidity pool. If it then makes, uh, I mean, it then absolutely makes sense as to the reasons why these central banks, 100%, they seem to be buying, and other nations seem to be buying and moving to gold because that is a true money. And we said this before, when it comes to trade, people want to trade with something they trust, and that trust, that neutral reserve asset, is gold. And whether gold will play a role in the central bank digital currency in this liquidity pool for automated market makers, I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is this: it is headed in that path. And if central banks are buying gold, then I think we need to do the same to be our own bank. So, you know, I know, it started off with this whole automated market maker thing. We're kind of looking at where it's going. Um, it could even be stronger than a central bank digital currency. So again, comes down to currency, comes down to money. I would say get yourself some gold in all of this, because that really is where the, let's just say, the action seems to be headed to. But anyway, I'd like to know your comments on this. Automated market makers, could it be more powerful than central bank digital currencies? Is gold and silver something we need to do to start storing our wealth, protecting our wealth? Because these guys seem to be moving to a place where we're not going to have anything. We're not going to have any form of money except whatever they tell us. But we do know what they consider as being money are things like gold. So we got to stay a step ahead of them when we see where they're headed. So anyway, I'm curious to see your comments here. Um, let's take a look at the few few of your comments here. Um, Rolf Steiner, man, I hope not. Ghana get some USA Empire bombers flattening their city soon. Uh, Man, let's hope not. But the point. It's a great point there that the world is moving, and we've said quite a bit that the pieces on this chessboard, they're absolutely moving. Countries that were allies may not be. They may not be. Money talks, right? Money talks. U.S. is in debt, and business 101. I remember this. Business 101 professor says. Um, Business moves where money is. Business moves where money is. So if the U.S. is in debt, I mean, business, it may, well, not it may, it will. It'll start moving towards Asia, towards the east, and you're going to see entire countries who are going to have to reassess. Do I want to stay with the old business that's in debt? It's giving me a debased dollar, or do I go with the new countries, who this is where the money's flowing to. So I think countries are really going to have to figure out what they want to do, because in the end, it's the people. They are the ones that are going to uh, hopefully push and drive governments to do their will. So we really got to figure this thing out. Let's see. Um, Take a look at a few more comments here. Um, okay. John Bethea, truth barter does work. It has been used for centuries. You know, that's the good, that's the good and the bad of it. I mean, it is good. It's people will do whatever's fair. They'll make that trade according to whatever's fair. And then we look at this thing, it's kind of like what they're doing in some way, this automated market maker, they're kind of it almost looks like a fair type of a barter in a way that algos are going to figure out. This is needed more than this, so we'll price this more according to that. But then, you know, really, because it's under a certain type of control that maybe we may not be able to really verify, because it's no longer traders. It's no longer traders. I can't Trader A can't get with trader B and say, hey, did you make the trade or whatever it is, what's going on? These folks need this. They can't do that anymore. It's just the algo that's basically going to spit it out and tell us what it is. It's going to tell us who's president, whatever it might be. Anyway, I'll get over to my commentary and so thing is, earlier I read automated market makers are part of the decentralized DeFi ecosystem, finance ecosystem. They allow digital assets to be traded in a permissionless and automatic way by using liquidity pools rather than a traditional market of buyers and sellers. AMM users supply liquidity pools with crypto tokens whose prices are determined by a constant mathematical formula. Liquidity pools can be optimized for different purposes and are proving to be an important instrument in the DeFi ecosystem. So that's what I read earlier. It's a definition or an understanding of what automated market makers are. But what if we just changed? We just changed a few things here. And we said they're part of a centralized finance ecosystem, meaning central banks. They supply liquidity pools with central bank digital currencies instead of these tokens. It's the liquidity pools are supplied with central bank digital currencies. And instead of being an important instrument for DeFi ecosystems, it's an important instrument for, I'm just calling it CFI here, centralized finance or centralized finance ecosystem. We could easily interchange these parts, these definitions or understandings, because that's what it looks like. That's really what it looks like. Where it's going. So again, gold and silver, stores of wealth. They're quickly becoming a non-negotiable anymore. It's really getting to be non-negotiable where you just got to have it. You got to have it. You got to get it. I'm not saying this is financial advice or anything like that. Just saying this is my opinion. But you and I, we have to be our own bank. I mean, stop, stop valuing the paper trash banks give us and exchange it for real money, the real money that even the banks want and the banks are buying. All right, don't be on that sideline anymore. Get in the game. Be a star, hero for your family. Just do it. Get yourself some gold, get yourself some silver, and it's really got to start. It's really got to start today. Again, not financial advice or anything. Just when you take a look at things going on, um, we got to move, gang. We have to move. We have to do something. And I'll be straight. The very first ounce of silver that I bought, um, it took me a while to pull that trigger. It was hard to pull that trigger, but when I did, it became easier and easier, and you understood more and more. And don't be afraid to pull the trigger. You're going to be surrounded with a bunch of like-minded people. You're going to be surrounded with a bunch of people who are going to support you. Um, because investment wise, maybe other things make money, yes, for sure. But is there a better insurance for what looks to be coming down the road? Maybe not. So understand really why people do go ahead and get some gold and silver, because this AMN thing, uh, it's pretty um, technologically, it's brilliant, but realistically, there's a little bit of concern there as well. Carry on and Wilder, think of CBDCs as the lock and AMM as the key. They work in tandem to asset strip everyone, but the elitist insiders running the scam. Uh, it's a very good way to put it. So it's a very good way to put it. We got to get you a chair over here. It's a good way to put it. Let's see what else is out there. Um, Good humor, man. Which lie will be your final one you believe before you sign up for the new digital fraud? That's a great point also, because this was something Francis Hunt had said, where you know eventually everyone will have to sign on that dotted line. He didn't say word for word. Don't quote me there, but he did say something about eventually you're going to sign on that dotted line. So just to say, we don't know what's coming, but that's why you need insurance, right? You just don't know what's coming. That is why you need insurance, and that insurance definitely are things like gold and silver. News drifter: the math formula can be rigged if they can just print more tokens and pump up the inputs to the variables in the calculation. And that's a concern there, because once this formula is pushed one way or the other, it then trickles down to us on the supply and demand side, where prices are going to increase in one thing, lessen in something else. And do we really know? Because eventually what happens is you get funneled into a position where you may get less choices. um, you may get less products, less services, whatever it is. And that part, it's a bit concerning, because we just went through the whole bout during the bug, where we saw how the Fed influenced the markets, pick the winners, pick the losers, whatnot. And then, this is just opening up the door for this thing to happen all over again. Less choices. I think Gerald Celente said at one time, when I asked him, are we headed towards socialism? And he laughed and he told me, what are you talking about? We're already in fascism. So and I never forgot that, and I don't know. I mean, what does it look like to you? Do you see more freedoms in this, or less freedoms in this? Do you see more choices in this, or less choices in this? Mr. Nguyen, great point. Steve St. Angelo, he stated in his charts, if the world continued to consume energy at the rate of production, CBDCs will die uh, with energy crisis. Um, that part, I mean, I understand what he's saying. I don't know if he was comparing it to like how much energy consumption it takes to, let's say, mine Bitcoin or mine crypto, or something like that. Because I mean, with the digital dollar, do you even have to go through that mining process? I mean, you could just throw digits up on a screen again, right? And just here's more digital currency for you, or whatever it is. Do you really need to mine at that point? I don't know. So I mean, I understand what he's saying, but if they have a way where it doesn't matter with the energy consumption, uh, again, it's just throwing digits on that screen. So I mean, it's a good point. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Who really knows? Let's see. Let's see. I'll take a look at a few more comments, and then we'll head out. I'm sure you guys got a lot of turkey left over. Well, those of you who celebrated Thanksgiving, that you want to get into before you go to bed. Um, okay, Rolf Steiner, true, very very true point. Can't argue it. You cannot have the USA anywhere near in charge of the system. The USA has terrible form of corruption, lies, and swindling other nations. You know what? That is what history says. Um, can't deny that, can't disagree with that. That is what history says. Uh, I'll just go a step further and say, then who do we trust? Who do we trust to handle these things? Can we trust them? So really, I don't know if there's any trust in any government, any trust in any central bank. I trust you all, without question. I trust you all more than anybody sitting in Congress, more than anybody running that printing press, more than anybody sitting at a news desk, maybe including me. I don't know, but I would trust you all even more. So that's a great point. But with that, I tell you what, I'm going to wrap it up. Case Sarasara, again, I appreciate it. Um, again, keep your head on a swivel as to what's happening. Learn more about AMMs. I myself even need to learn more about AMMs. It's just, to me, one piece of the puzzle of this picture that they're creating, and it's a picture some of us may like, some of us may not. So keep your head on a swivel. Uh, stay positive. stay positive, concentrate on things in your life, and do more than concentrate. Focus on certain things in your life as well. Keep you happy. Keep that family uh, protected, safe. Keep your wife happy. Keep your husband happy. I mean, do the things you need to do. Take time out for yourself. If you got to find that little corner, think about things and meditate. Do it. Keep yourself well as well. So with that, again, just be a blessing, not a burden. Saddle up for what's coming ahead. Silver up as well. Dr. Tyler Wall from SD Bullion will be coming up. So I do hope you subscribe, and thumbs ups are always appreciated. You guys take care. Take care.